All right, there we go. Start call number 12. Are you guys ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right, gang. Zoom call number 12 tonight. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you all being here. I know that right now you could be anywhere and you made it a priority to be here. And whether you know it or not, you're surrounding yourself with some truly amazing people. And one of those amazing people is actually going to share her Isagenix journey with us tonight. And her name is Summer Lester. So just a little background on Summer. She went to school in Virginia, and she went to school for video production and environmental sciences. She currently lives in Winter, California. She's got 3 horses and has even been to the World Equestrian Games in Kentucky. I think that's pretty neat. She stays super busy working at a deli and taking care of her niece, all kinds of things. I don't know how she does everything she does in a day. But one of the best heartfelt people, if you asked her to do absolutely anything, she would drop everything to do it for you. So we're going to hear a little bit more from Summer Lester. If everybody could do a little clap in the camera. I know you're muted, but here we go, Summer.
Hi, guys.
All right, I will be interviewing Summer. My name's Chelsea. So we all can see Summer. Summer, why don't you wave just so we all know who you are? Yay. So we just want to start with kind of like your life before this journey started. Like, where were you at when you first were introduced to the nutrition?
So before this nutrition, I was a year and a half out of college, and my senior thesis had hit me pretty hard, since they said I was a video production major and I'm focused on animation. And so my senior thesis took 24/7, 100% of my time just sitting at a desk animating. And being a horse person and having horses out there, it took me away from my horses. It took away my exercise and my outdoor just happy time. And so it definitely put on the pounds, and it put me in an interesting place mentally and physically. So, and then I graduated college, I started working, and I would finish work and I would be so exhausted from being overweight and not having all the nutrition I needed. And so I would come home and I would just crash. And if I didn't do that, I would sit on the couch because that's all the energy I had. So that was me before Isagenix. It wasn't a pretty sight.
So at what point did Isagenix come in? Like, what was your breaking point?
Well, Isagenix it came into my life in an interesting way, and it was kind of a lot of luck. One of the jobs I had was I was working for a company called Ride On Video, where we go around and we film people competing at their horse shows. And I hadn't competed in a really, really long time. And so filming people riding at horse shows was a little hard on me because I was super jealous of everybody galloping around on cross country and doing everything I love. And so I was up in Montana, and I finally just decided, I was like, this is stupid. Why am I filming other people doing what I love? And why am I not doing what I love? So I had an hour break when I was working up there, and I went over to the food area. I was like, might as well get some lunch. And I went over there, and I ran into a lovely woman named Danelle. And the first thing she said to me, which was really powerful, she was like, "Are you interested in nutrition?" And I was like, well, yeah, I'm a horse person. We're all very interested in nutrition. We focus on putting every perfect little thing into our horse's body so that they function perfectly and they perform perfectly. And but then I never really thought about how we just stop at In-N-Out or like just other fast food places on the way home because we want to just get home. And so that kind of got the gears turning. And I was like, at that point, I was motivated to make a change, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And so it was kind of interesting. I got home and I kept pushing Danelle off for like a month, and I'm really sorry, Danelle. But then I got home and I was at a friend's house, and I don't know why I did this, but I stepped on the scale and I saw a weight that I have never been. And that was my turning point. I was 180 pounds, and that is not me. That's not my healthy weight. So I finally, after a month, I texted Danelle and I was like, hey, you said something about a rider challenge. So then we got started.
Awesome. That's so cool. At that point, when you heard about the nutrition, were you riding at that time or competing at all, or you were just filming at that point?
I was not able to ride. I think I rode like once a week, maybe. And I'm used to riding 6 days a week at least.
Okay.
So I was not doing anything. I was not able to with my energy level and my motivation.
Awesome. So far, now you've been using the nutrition for how long?
I started August 11th last year. So I don't know how many, 8 months, 9 months.
Okay. So what has been like your greatest accomplishment or goal that you've met since then? You can name a couple of them. You don't have to have just one.
The greatest one, I don't know. Well, the biggest one on a scale, I lost 45 pounds of fat.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm down to my healthy weight. And I gained lean muscle, which is really exciting. And I am definitely going to step it up more. And I'm doing more of the performance stuff. But I think the most fun one is that I have so much more energy now. It's insane. Like when I started, I was just doing 2 jobs, and I would come home and I was exhausted and stuff like that. And now I have 3 jobs. I have my horses at home. I take care of them, and I babysit, and I do all sorts of things. And I work from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. sometimes. And I still come home and I'm like the Energizer Bunny, and I annoy my boyfriend because he's exhausted. And so that's the one I have the most fun with, of course. But yeah, it as far as how I did it was all mental for me. I basically, like, seeing everybody riding, I made my decision, and nothing was going to get in my way. I was like, I'm going to do this for myself. And for the people around me, because I was like a blob of negativity. And so I made my phone screensaver a picture of myself from like 6 years ago of my goal, weight, and image. And so I used my phone a lot. So every time I looked at my phone, I thought of my goal, and that was constant, of course. And I did whatever Danelle told me to do as far as weight loss goes. I was like, yes, ma'am. If she told me to stand on my head and it would help me feel better and lose weight, I would do it. So I did Healthy Mind and Body, and like that's key. You have to have your mind on the same goal as your body and as your other goals. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen, or just not as well. So I did Healthy Mind and Body. The only thing I didn't do, and I regret it hugely, is the IsaBody challenge. I like kick myself every day because that would have been really cool. But yeah, so definitely do IsaBody, guys, and Healthy Mind and Body.
That's awesome. I just signed up last night. I know I waited and procrastinated.
I know.
Another question for you, Summer. What was some of like your highlight products that you first started using? Like, what were some of the difference makers in your journey to where you are now?
I think the biggest one is the eShots. And I had my first 3 days on rebalancing my nutrition. I had a bit of a headache those 3 days, and so I was like, it wasn't super easy. My body was detoxifying itself, which is a good thing, but it came in the form of a headache. So I drank an e-shot, and it would go away. So instantly, the e-shot became my lifesaver, and I don't go a day without it now. I can't.
That's great. I know there's a lot of other people out there that love their e-shots.
Yeah.
They've grown on me. I haven't totally been turned over. I'm a coffee-aholic. So.
You find your thing.
Yes. That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. And I just love what you said about having the picture on your phone and having that in front of you all the time, and your goals, and even just writing stuff down. I'm a huge fan of that too, but that's awesome. I loved hearing that. And are you racing or competing and stuff now that?
I am now competing. And that's a cool, it's really fun because since I worked with the video company, there's videographers stationed around the course. And so now that I'm like really good friends with all of them, I'll go around the course and they're cheering me on and saying, yes, and I get to wave to them as I gallop by. So it's cool. I'm on the other side of the camera now.
You got to like swap places.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Does anybody have any questions? I haven't even paid attention to the chat that's been going on at all. But feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions.
Ooh, yes, come over to ride. Let's see what else they're saying.
I think if nobody's got any questions, we're bringing it over to Jamie, right?
Yeah, so that's awesome. And I don't know if y'all knew what I was going to talk about tonight. I never really said anything until today, but you just hit on it pretty freaking hard. So you got to give me a perfect leeway into exactly what I want to discuss tonight. And it's kind of a continuation for those of y'all who are in our Kickstart Your Summer Challenge. It's basically what the first video I posted is, but I'm going to go a little more in depth today. And that's on goal setting. I was sitting here, I was thumbing through John Maxwell's book, and I was like, what am I going to talk about? And that was the first thing to pop into my head. And then you start talking about wanting to ride. You saw yourself on the other side of the fence. You wanted to ride, and then you put your picture on your phone. I mean, that's it. I mean, seeing what you want to accomplish every single day is huge. And basically, I was doing a little study before we got on this call, and I was listening. I forget the guy's name. Some random guy. I was watching a video, but he put it pretty simply. No matter what you do, your dream determines your goals. So it has to start with a vision, a dream. Then you have to map out your action on how you're going to get there. And then the action leads to results, and the results ultimately lead to success. No matter what you do in life, if you don't have a roadmap to get there, you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to get where you want to be. And if you don't care, if you don't set out a roadmap, if you don't set out a goal, then you're going to be at the mercy of whoever's around you. You're going to follow whatever they do, and you're going to end up where they want to end up. If you think about the corporate world, if you think about, well, I'm just going to go to college. I really don't care what I do. I don't care if I declare a major. I just get, not knocking on any business majors, but I just get a business major, and I'll just go to work for somebody. Well, you're going to graduate college. You're going to be thumbing through the classifieds. You're going to find a job. You're going to go to work, and you're going to build somebody else's dream because you didn't have a dream yourself. And it all starts with a dream, a vision, and then your roadmap, and then your results, which lead to success. And if you don't have the vision, you're going to be living somebody else's dream. It's plain and simple. If you're around people who don't care about their health and you don't have a goal in mind, when they go out to have pizza, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have pizza, and you're going to have a couple beers, and you're going to live the way they live their life because you don't have a goal. So what I want to talk about is the dreams and goals that you have and how to kind of solidify those and kind of transition your mindset from being just a goal to becoming something a little more that guides your life a little more appropriately. And goals must be specific, and they must be measurable. And the question I want to ask you, and I want y'all to think about this, do goals have to be attainable? This is one that I've kind of battled with too. I mean, you think about goals, you want to reach your goals. It feels good to reach your goals. But do goals have to be attainable? And I want y'all to think about that over the next week or so. And I would like to hear what you have to say about that. You can message me or comment in our group, but I'll leave that up to y'all. But so specific and measurable, you have to have a definitive location before you get in your car to drive, or else you're never going to get there. So you have to have specific and measurable goals. Okay, if I want to be, say I'm going to Vegas for Celebration this year. Okay, well, I know I'm going to Vegas. That's pretty specific. But if I don't know when I'm going to get there, when I'm going to leave, what are the chances I'm going to make it there the first day the convention starts? It's not measurable. If it's not measurable and specific, then you're never going to reach it. So there's varying degrees of goal setting, and we all do it differently. Like Summer was saying, she puts a picture on her phone. She saw herself on the other side of the camera, that kind of thing. I mean, she had it planned out, and that was her way of doing it. But then you have people who basically go to bed at night and they think about what they want to accomplish tomorrow. They think about it. It's right here. They go to bed with it in their heads. Okay. And then you have the people who write it down at night, who might jot it down on paper. Then you might have the people who wake up the next morning and they go to work and their friends are like, what are you going to do this weekend? Well, I'm going to go hike this 14er. I'm going to go hike this big mountain. And they tell others about their goals. You might have people that just write their goals down once. You might have people that write it down every single day. You might have people who recite their goals to themselves. They might read their 3x5 note card every morning that has their goal written down. You might have people that talk into a tape recorder and play it back to themselves every day. Or you might have a combination of all three. You might have somebody that makes a vision board that has all their goals like plastered around their house, which I'm beginning to do a little bit now that I have a more permanent place. But the way that you make sure that these goals are something that you can focus on is to have them in front of you at all times. Like Summer said, she put it on her phone. How many times do you pick your phone up every day? I mean, it's right there. Wow, I want to get there. I have like sticky notes on my bathroom mirror that have goals written down on them. I'm going to Target this weekend to buy a vision board. I'm going to buy a board so I can like put my goals on it. But people who tend to succeed are people who do everything, who write it down multiple times a day, who read it to themselves, who think about it, who tell others about it, who have accountability groups like this, who can hold each other accountable and make sure that we achieve them, who can push you, who have vision boards that just keep it constantly in your vision. So there's varying degrees, and I would recommend that you try different routes. Don't just go to bed at night thinking about your goal. That's not enough. Write it down. Tell people about it. So one other thing that I want to touch on as far as goals go, and this was something that's a little deep, and I don't know if I'm going to do it justice, but oftentimes we are influenced by others and people around us and society and our jobs and bills and children and family and I mean, just anything outside of what's within us that influences our goals. And I will argue that sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes having outside forces to kind of tailor our goals are important, but the goals still must be your own. Okay, so say you're on a soccer team and you let yourself go for summer. You come back for the fall and you're out of shape. Well, your teammates might say, look, you need to get back in shape. Let's go run. Let's go do this. But until you've put that in your mindset that, wow, I really do want to get better, then you're just peeing in the wind. Your goals aren't going to get you where you want to be. So this is an example that I was thinking about. Well, you have a 18-year-old who graduates high school, and his mom's like, Mrs. Jones, Mike Jones's mom's down the street, and her son's going to med school. He's going to be a doctor. And then you have Scotty, who is up the street up here, and he just graduated, and he's ready to go off to college. And his mom's like, wow, Mike Jones down the street, he's going to be a doctor. And what are you going to do? Well, Mom, I really want to just play the guitar and I want to sing. Well, Johnny or Scotty, whatever I call him, you need to go be a dentist. Let's go be a dentist. And those outside forces influenced him to change his goals, but they're never his goals. Well, 10 years down the road after little Scotty's done with dental school and you walk into his office one day and you ask him, say, why did you want to become a dentist? Oh, well, Mike Jones down the street, he became a doctor. My mom was like, didn't really want me to play the guitar and sing, so she made me go to dental school. I don't really care to be a dentist. Would you want that guy to be your dentist? No. So think about that next time you make a goal based on somebody's outside forces. Think about it. 10 years down the road, is this goal that somebody's forcing me to do it? Am I happy to begin with? Is it something I want to do? And when I get there, am I going to look back and say, man, I would like to have had this goal, you know? That's just something I got to thinking about, because there's oftentimes a lot of outside forces, and women in particular. I mean, you see it plastered on Instagram, all these fake, I'm not even going to go there, just like juiced up pictures, for lack of better words. And it's just like it puts different images in women's head. For guys, it's like you got to go be this 5-star athlete, 5-tool athlete. You got to play all these sports. You got to do this, that, and the other. But if it's not your goals and your outside forces, such as social media, are influencing you to do that, then it's not going to be your goal and you're not going to succeed. Plain and simple. So I think it's okay to have outside forces that influence that. But if it's not your goal and it's not coming from in here, then your chances of success are pretty slim. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover as far as goal setting. And I think I would challenge everyone, and this is something I did per Mike Evans. I don't know if Mary's on the call, I believe, but her husband, Mike, worked with me a great deal whenever I was moving out to Aspen, and I had a lot of goals that I just really couldn't wrap my head around getting to these goals. And so one thing he offered up as advice to me was to wake up in the morning, have a seat, take 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. If it's only 5 minutes, that's well and good, but I usually took 15 to 20 minutes. And I had a notebook, and I would write myself a letter as if I was 30 days away. If I was 30 days in the future, where do I see myself in 30 days? And I started doing that back in December of last year. And on January 1st, I wrote a letter to myself as if I was 30 days down the road. And I wrote a letter that said, today I am arriving in Aspen, Colorado. I will be meeting my coworkers for the very first time. I will have hospital orientation tomorrow. And I hadn't even accepted the job to ask me yet. I had no details. And I wrote that down in my journal. And on January 28th, I left South Carolina, drove across the country. And on the 1st of February, I walked into my office and sat down, and my coworkers were sitting there. I wrote that. And that's powerful to me. I mean, I don't know why I even got away from writing letters to myself. I still write them every once in a while, but it's going to have to become a habit to me, because for me, that way of reaching my goals just really sets into me. And then I go back, and the next morning I wake up and I read from the day before, and then I write that day. So it's kind of like a continuation. And I would love to be able to do that. I'm going to do that. I will do that for 3 or 4 months total. And I'd love to look back and just read 3 or 4 months of my notes and see where I'm at in 4 months. I challenge you all to try that. I think it's a great resource and a great way to kind of write your goals down, is writing a letter to yourself. So I'm done. I'll quit rambling. We got about 5 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, let us know. And I think, Colton, do you have anything to share? He's all muted up over here. Allie, do you have anything about the challenge or anything?
Not particularly about the challenge, but I do know for next week we're going to have a vegan person from a totally different team on the call. So if you know anyone that is interested in the vegan lifestyle, or like even wants to learn more about it, or how the Isagenix products like blend in with a vegan lifestyle or whatever, that this would be an awesome call for them. So make sure to invite, because we want to get this call bigger and bigger every time.
Right on.
Yeah. And I don't know if you were done talking, Jamie. But after this call, we are going, whoever is interested or whoever has ideas that they would like to bring into these calls, really encourage you to stick around. We're going to take a 5-minute break after this call, and then we're going to get back on the same call and talk about next week's or any ideas that you might have. So I would really encourage anyone to stick around and see how things
Are we just going to stay on the line, Colton, or are we going to open it up again?
I'll just keep it open, and then
okay.
So we can take like a 5-minute break.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for hopping on. This has been great. Thank you, Chelsea, and everyone who talked, Liz and Summer for sure. Thanks everybody, and
You guys were amazing.
yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing, and
Good
we'll
night,
hop on to
everyone.
the next one. Very cool.
Perfect. Have a
Good
good night, guys.
Bye.